everybody, and welcome to Self Care. And today we have Caroline McDougall. She is the CEO and founder of Ticino Herbal Coffee and Teas. And I am so excited to have her on the podcast because, first of all, I'm a user, not that kind of user, this kind of user, just saying. And for those of you who, are excited about supporting your health and having a lifestyle of eating foods that are good for you and help you detox, I believe that Caroline McDougall is your go-to resource. So give me one moment. We're just making sure that we're live on Instagram, and it looks like we are. This is awesome. I think life just throws you a few challenges when it comes to technology, but we're here and we're ready to go. So without further ado, let me bring on Caroline McDougall. How are you?
Hi there. Happy to be with you all today.
Yes, oh, likewise. So I want to just tell people a little bit about you. So for everybody who's watching, Caroline McDougall is an herbal product innovator, founder and creator and CEO of Ticino, renowned for its unique roasted herbal coffees and teas that are unlike any other herbal beverages on the market. So that is her wording, and I'm going to tell you, I'm giving you a 2 thumbs up on that because all day long I've tried other products. They don't even hold a candle to what you do. Caroline has over 40 years of experience as an herbal product innovator, and her career has encompassed all aspects of working with herbs, including developing international sources, pioneering wild harvests, developing organic certification for herbal crops. That's amazing. Educating people about herbs and launching products that bring health benefits of herbs to people all over the world. So first of all, let me start with gratitude. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah. Well,
really.
Thank you very much. I'm in great gratitude for being able to have done what I do, for life having given me the opportunity to do all the wonderful things that I've been able to do in it, right? And, I got really lucky in my early 20s. I discovered my passion, and I've been doing it ever since.
So I found my passion when I was 18, got derailed for about, 30 years. And, and here I am
here now. And that's what counts.
So, and that's okay. For me, my journey is really what is going to bring people together, right? Because there's not really an ailment that I had. Just about every ailment on the planet, so everybody can relate. It's okay. And I also help people find their way back to real health, really just using food as medicine. And Chris Fetula, thank you for being here. She says hello. So tell me, Caroline, what brought you to creating these amazing, healthy, delicious products, which
I was talking about how I found my passion when I was, I was actually about 18 or 19 myself. And the thing that happened to me was I went to work at a natural food store. It was summer between college years, right? And this was the largest natural food store in the country at the time. And it was called New Age Natural Foods, right? And it was the size of a grocery store, not what we would consider the size of a grocery store now. But back then it was like really big. Maybe it was 10,000 square feet or something. It seemed really huge. And I got to work in the room where all the books were and all the supplements were and all the beauty care products were. And that was like super fun. And they were all separate in that room because we could only put taxable items on one cash register, and food didn't have tax. So that was on different cash registers. So I got to order any books I wanted, and the books that I just adored. And thank you, Andrew, for loving my coffee and teas. Thank you. The books that I adored were by this herbalist named Juliette de Barclay-Levy. And she just inspired me. She had traveled around the world. She'd lived with nomadic people. She'd learned about herbs. And I had all these people coming in saying, hey, what do I do about this, that, and the other thing? And I'd go to these herbals, and I'd look them up and I'd say, oh, you got to try this supplement over here. Take this herb for that. Here I was 18 years old telling people what to take.
That's beautiful, though. That's beautiful. And honestly, I think that every 18-year-old should know that. Like, actually, I think every 5-year-old should know what food does. That's like the foundation of health, right?
Well, Juliet inspired me, and I ended up seeking her out, and I found her on islands in the Mediterranean. I spent different summers with her, but in that process, I also, and working at that natural food store, I met Mo Siegel, and Mo Siegel was the founder, one of the founders. There were two founders, but he was the one that was out on the road selling celestial seasonings teas in little muslin bags, if you can imagine that, with a drawstring top, hand printed by his other partner's wife, who was designer, and these little hand stamped block prints on these bags, little bulk teas. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. And so I went to visit them in Colorado, and then I became part of Celestial Seasonings. And I had this fun job of traveling around the world buying herbs. And when I would be on those trips, I'd go find Juliet Tabarrok-Levy on whatever island she was on next in the Mediterranean, and study with her and live in these little, cabins she would live in, really primitive cabins, dirt floors, everything hanging from the ceiling so the rats wouldn't eat them. And I'd study about herbs and learn all these wonderful things from her. And then I, of course, learned from traveling around the world what herbs were tasted like, and how the same herb would taste different from country to country, depending on the climate, just like we think of wine as having terroir, so do herbs. Love your parrot there, by the way.
Yeah. So, she always likes to participate. So if I don't ask you the right questions, she'll pause the show and make sure that I ask you. So keep talking. Yeah.
Anyway, that got my start. So, our mission at Celestial Seasonings is the same mission I have today. We wanted to bring the health benefits of herbs to everyone's cup. And here in America, this was back in the 70s, right? Nobody was drinking herbal teas. There were no herbal teas on the shelf. And I actually sold for Celestial the first teas into the first grocery store in San Francisco. It was the Safeway Marina store. And I went in, and top to bottom, the whole tea set were three brands, one tiny little brand, which was Bigelow's at the time, and two big brands, which was Lipton's and Red Rose Tea.
Familiar.
And I went and I said, hey, just clear off this shelf at eye level, and let's put our Teachino. By this time we had boxes, still no tea bags, but boxes. Put them on the shelf here, right? And the guy did it, and we started selling like crazy. And that was the beginning of, people starting to realize that herbal teas were really a phenomena. And so that was my history.
Yeah, one of the things that really excited me, I'll tell you a little bit of story. So, I was misdiagnosed for 2 decades, put on all these medications, went from being a bodybuilder, weighing in about 125 pounds, misdiagnosed, gained 100 pounds, nearly died in 2013, right? So I reversed all those conditions using food as medicine. Of course, that became my platform, and, emotional healing through, through toxic-free living, right? People, your ear, your food, your water. And when I was living in Illinois, I remember walking down the street where I lived, and I saw all these beautiful dandelions. Now, by this time, I understand the benefit of dandelions, right? Because I've kind of grown up, I've wakened up, right? And I do this post, and I said, it's really interesting. I said, because glyphosate causes cancer. That's just not even new news anymore. But back then it was. And I said, and they're using that as one of the things to get rid of dandelions. But I said, but the irony is that dandelions will help you cleanse your liver. And guess what? That kills cancer, ultimately. I mean, it's not the only thing, but it's one of the lifestyle practices that we can have. And I thought it was so ironic. So then my girlfriend introduced me to some, teas made from dandelions, and they were okay. All right. And then I found yours.
That's not one of my dandelion ones, but I'm going to
get this is actually made. This has got the prebiotic. I think it's got the chicory root in there.
Yeah.
And I
So,
don't know all your recipes, right?
well,
But
so let me just tell people that Ticino has a roasted background. We may not have explained that yet because
please go right ahead.
like celestial seasonings teas are the normal herbal teas that you expect. They're light, light color in the cup and a sort of either a floral taste or a minty taste or something like that. But the dandelion flavors, are roasted for one. And then all of my Ticino, including the French roast you've been showing people, have this roasted background. And so they can taste like coffee, and you can either brew them like coffee, which is when they come into, a bag like you were showing. This is one of my mushroom ones.
I
Chaga.
love chaga. I've got the
Yeah.
cordyceps. Yeah.
Oh, good. Or you can get, here we go. This is a tea bag in here, the dandelion ones, right? And whether it's in the tea bag or it's in the coffee bag, right? It's still got the same thing. So these don't happen to match up. But if one of them was the other, it's the same product that's in either the tea bag or the coffee bag. It just depends on how you want to brew it and how strong you like it. Because if you like it strong, it's the coffee bag. But if you like it more tea-like, use the tea bag, right? Because there's less product in the tea bag for an 8-ounce cup than you would probably put in your drip coffee maker or your French press. So that's a little bit about Ticino, but
share with people because I do like mine really strong, which is why I'm buying it in the bags. Now,
right.
when we travel, we do bring the tea bags because we like to make sure that we have what we need when we're, not at home.
Same thing with me. I always have them in my purse, in my pocket, so that when I, go out and they only serve coffee. And, here I've been in the herbal tea industry literally for 50 years, right? Since the early 70s. This is me. I've been doing that for a long time.
How old are you?
You don't want to know.
Well, I'm doing the math.
I'm 72.
Yeah, you look amazing.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Take a moment and look at Caroline. Right? Like
it's the caffeine-free lifestyle.
It
I have a mother turning 100 next month, and she's drank Ticino ever since I created it. I created Ticino in 1994. We brought it to market in 1995, and she's been drinking it ever since. She used to brew with French press. Now she uses my tea bags. But she's turning 100, so I just have to say caffeine-free lifestyle. Here we go.
So I'm with you. When I had food sensitivity testing done as part of that health journey, I had 135 food sensitivities. One of them was to caffeine, right? And like all caffeinated products. And so it was in 2016 that I gave up caffeine. And I have not looked back. I don't enjoy coffee. I don't like how it makes me feel. It activates the basal ganglia, gives you a crash, right? You fly high and then you crash. It's really not good for anybody's emotional well-being. And Chris says, actually, you look amazing. You are your own advertisement, right? So
here's what I say to coffee drinkers, because when I started my career, I was super anti-coffee, and everybody had to quit. I don't say that anymore. I've grown up.
I'm here. I hear you.
But here's the thing: caffeine is fine at a certain time of day. You don't want it at the towards the end of your day, or even if you're sensitive at all, from the middle of your day on. So if you're going to do caffeine, I tell people do it in the morning. That's when if you think you need it in the morning, go ahead, do it in the morning, but don't do it. And I say the cutoff should be noon, but some people say, hey, I do 5 till 2 o'clock and then I cut off. What people don't realize is that it will still interfere with your sleep, even if you're not feeling it per se, because it keeps you from going into the really deep sleep. And that's where your body does the repair, rebuild, rejuvenate work. So you want to get to that deep sleep, and caffeine interferes with it. But if you had it in the morning, most likely, unless you're like me and I'm caffeine sensitive, so I can't even have it in the morning. But if I had decaf, even in the afternoon or evening, it keeps me up to 3 a.m. So if you're not like me and you can drink coffee, then stick it in the morning and have Ticino in the afternoon and evening. And then you could have, like I did last night, I went to bed and had a beautiful cup of chaga ashwagandha. I put my frothy, I love the foam milk, right? I put foamy milk on top of it. Seventh heaven, right?
So I actually started making my own milk from nuts. And so I make it at home. It takes at tops 2.5 minutes, right?
Mhm.
And it comes out very frothy. And I make it from cashews, which is nature's antidepressant, right?
Yeah.
And
I love
so
cashew milk. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. And so there's a new company that came out actually in Atlanta, Georgia, here where I live. And I'm like, you're cool. You got my business, you got my vote. And but help me and help others, please. How did you become aware that you were sensitive to caffeine? What were the symptoms, if you can recall? And what did that look like?
Oh yeah, no, I know what it does. Well, people talk about getting the jitters, right? And I would get that too, but would talk so fast. Nobody could understand me. I'm already moving at a fast pace, as anybody will tell you who's around me for any long. I'm always on the run. And so caffeine just makes that, speeds that up ridiculously. And then I have insomnia at night. And then on top of that, and a lot of people suffer from this, if coffee is really highly acidic. So if I drank coffee, I would have to have like a whole bunch of milk in it or cream in it or something like that, and then also be eating something with it and da 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 da. And even after all of that, I'd still get burning in the stomach. So coffee just didn't agree with me from the acidity point of view as well as the caffeine point of view. But caffeine sensitivity, it is so insidious. Some people will say, then, by the way, I can tell you how to quit caffeine if you do want to get off of it.
Me
But,
too. So we can you can share your
yeah.
approach, and if there's anything left, I'll add to it. Go ahead.
But some people say, like this pain that I always have in the back of my neck, going down my back or whatever, disappeared when I quit caffeine. And that's because caffeine also makes us tense our muscles. It makes us tense everything. It gives us stress, not energy, but people think it's energy, but it actually is stress. And so, all kinds of weird things will go away. I mean, I have people saying my tinnitus went away, or my
EMJ.
migraines were better, or my cystitis was better, all that stuff. Just giving up coffee helps so many different things, and you just have to kind of find it out for yourself.
Well, yeah, and because stress is the root cause of most disease, which stress causes inflammation. I mean, I don't want to just say the only thing is stress, but stress is like the starting point, in my opinion. And so that's why I, aspire and I teach people how to remove these interferences from their lifestyle, right? And so, how do you then? Well, I would like you to explain before you tell people how to get off of caffeine. Um, Tell people why having acid in the coffee or in your lifestyle can prove to be problematic.
Yeah, well, we all hear about inflation these days, right? So the two things, that cause inflation is too much sugar and too much acidity. you know,
You mean inflammation?
I, I I should have been saying inflammation.
You said inflation, and I'm
I
like,
said
nope,
inflation. I'm
no,
sorry.
it's okay. But yeah, inflammation, right? So the two things that
Inflammation.
cause
Yeah.
inflammation are, go ahead.
The sugar,
Mhm.
right? And acidity. We're supposed to have an alkaline body, and sugar raises acidity as well, but also, acidity. And people get very confused about what acidity is because, and so I'll tell you the really quick thing. They go around with those little strips, they try and test a liquid, and they say, oh, no, it has a pH that's too low. I can't have that. How our body corrects metabolic acidity is it uses minerals. So you have your
Yes.
alkaline
Yes.
minerals.
Yes. Yes.
Please.
Yes.
It is not about testing your food or your drink and saying, oh, no, it came up with a pH or whatever. It's not about that. It's about minerals. Minerals is probably the most important thing we can eat, except
I just
we
like
got
I just
antioxidants,
downed
right?
a bunch of minerals before the show. I'm like, need to get my mineral intake, so yeah.
Right. So your best alkaline minerals: calcium, potassium, and magnesium. So Ticino is full of potassium. We have more potassium when you brew a cup of Ticino than Gatorade puts in the sports drinks to replace your potassium after you've been sweating, right? Um, and
And I'm just going to input here. We don't want to advocate for Gatorade, as besides the fact that Ticino has more potassium, Gatorade has some unfriendly elements. So we'll just
yeah,
leave it at that.
yeah, we're not here to bash Gatorade, but we've
No,
got more potassium in it,
yeah.
and there are more exciting things to drink in my beverage world.
Okay.
But at any rate, so when you drink Ticino, you're good. That potassium goes into your body. It's not only helping your body create, adjust the metabolic acidity, but it's also allowing your cells to discharge waste and to take in nutrients, because you have to have a balance between the potassium and the sodium in your system. So it's called the sodium potassium pump. So you need potassium, and that's why the FDA woke up, right? Just recently, they changed the nutrition facts. This little guy on the side of your package. Here we are.
Yep.
And they put potassium on it. And we've got our potassium right there at the bottom. But for years, you didn't have to put potassium on. I kept labeling how much potassium was in a cup of Ticino because it was important to know. Now you have to put it on, which is great. And there's actually a place for it in the nutrition facts box, which didn't used to exist. But at any rate, potassium is super important, and that's what people are recognizing now to our health, but also to balancing the acidity in the body and to giving us energy, because it's so easy to take in salt. We have salted everything, right? But unless we're eating enough of our fruits and vegetables or drinking Ticino, you're not getting very much potassium. So that's
I'm with you 100%, and you're so brilliant. I love that. There's been a disconnect between food manufacturers and health, and that doesn't exist in your world, right? And
I was in shock watching the Super Bowl ads and the things they were still advertising that people are supposed to eat. Did you watch it?
No, I don't watch the Super Bowl.
I have a husband. He's into it, right? And I like to watch the ads. And there were still so many unbelievably unhealthy things they were advertising for people to eat. It's kind of
it's scary to me, just even what I see on the shelves. So we belong to a health club down the street where I do hot yoga, and my husband and I weight lift. And you walk in and there's this big place, you can get all these different drinks, and they have the colors of the rainbow, and they're not derived from real, fruits or vegetables. And so, right. And so, now most of the employees know that they're toxic, and there's a huge disconnect. If you're trying to get people healthy, walk the entire talk, So, what I'd love for you to also share about is one of the ingredients is chicory root. And so would you like to talk about the benefits of chicory root and as it relates to gut health?
Yeah. So we actually have chicory root in every single dandelion blend that every single Ticino blend that I've made. And I have to tell you, over 40 of them. And I'm going to come out with some new ones this year too. So, hey, there you go. But that's because I think we should have a diversity of things to drink. And because there's so many palates out there, various people have different taste preferences. So we have a lot of Ticino to drink, to enjoy. But, yeah, so chicory root is the root that is highest of all plants in an ingredient called inulin. And inulin is a prebiotic. So prebiotics, what are they? Everybody's heard of probiotics. We all know that we have these. I hope we all know that we have these beneficial microorganisms living in our gut that help us ferment our food, really, is mostly what they do. And they produce all these great things that are important for our immune system and our digestion and all that, and keeping our colon healthy and et cetera. But chicory root has this inulin, and inulin is a soluble fiber that we do not digest, but our probiotics do. And they digest it in the way that they ferment it, and they make all those good things I was just talking about. And so when we were, in our hunting and gathering days, we used to eat a lot more of roots, and we used to get a lot more inulin in our diet. These days, we get a little bit of inulin from garlic and a little bit from wheat and a little bit from onions, and then that's about it. And so we don't get enough. Ticino, if you drink a cup of Ticino, you get, it depends on how you brew it, but let's say 300 to 400 milligrams of inulin. And so you can really, double and triple your intake of inulin every day by drinking Ticino. Now, you may get some questions from people that are sensitive to inulin and other oligosaccharides, because there are these people that have a problem in their digestive gut, and they follow a FODMAP diet. Have you heard of that diet?
Yes, FODMAP, absolutely.
And they have to start with small amounts of inulin, because they have to build up their microbiome to actually be able to take and ferment these really good things for them. But their microbiome's gotten harmed along the way. I'm not sure
Right. So if
but it
you've
has.
been on a lot of medications like I was for a significant period of time, you have unhealthy bacteria in your gut. And so there could be a transition period that you want to adopt when you're bringing all that inulin into your digestive tract, because it actually feeds the good bacteria and the probiotics.
Right, it does. So you have to find out if you're one of those few people, but most people are do really well with the inulin and chicory, and there's a lot of foods now with inulin in it, because everybody thinks, hey, this is a good thing. We'll put it in our nutrition bar. We'll put it in this or that. In Ticino, it's naturally extracting during the brewing process, right out of the root and into your cup. So, so ours is, and it's there in a liquid, and it's super bioavailable. And so it works, it works really well for those of us with, who can take in prebiotics. So, and so it's a good way to boost your prebiotics, which boosts, of course, your probiotics. And the other thing that hardly anybody knows, and I'm sure you know this, Jody, is that large bark is another good prebiotic as well. I agree with you, Chris. But we can only actually take probiotics that represent only 10% of the microorganisms that live in our gut, right? The rest of them are anaerobic, and they can't be exposed in any way, shape, to air. So we can't actually take those in a pill, right? You go to the store and you say, oh, I want to buy, some probiotics. And it's a very small range of species that you're actually able to take. And one of the most important things about our microbiome is we want big biodiversity, just like in our planet, just like in our, wild places. We need to protect the biodiversity of our gut as well as of the planet. And so, having plants, and this is one of the points I was making in the little blurb that I sent you, that you said, what are you going to talk about? Having the compounds that come from plants, not just inulin, but all of the other ones too, the they're sometimes called phyto means plant, phytochemicals, phytonutrients, whatever you want to call them. There's a vast array in plants. Plants are like this cocktail, of all these incredible phytonutrients for us. And by infusing them in water, we are expanding the biodiversity in our diet hugely, because most of what we're eating, what we buy in the grocery store, even in the produce section, is the same, group of plant families. So when you want to expand your biodiversity, especially when you want to, what I call rewild your body by bringing in wild foods into your body, herbal teas and herbal beverages like herbal coffee, like Ticino, the best place to do that and to get those exposure to those plants.
Okay, I'm so excited. So there's a woman I met, and right now I cannot remember her name. She's a doctor. She is associated with the Association of Natural Health in Bremen, Georgia. And she was talking about rewilding. She's actually building a huge farm out here for health practitioners, for them to decompress. And the whole thing's, and
I'll come.
You are welcome. I can tell you, you should probably be a speaker at our next conference in November. I'm just going to say, with the Association of Natural Health. But it's really exciting to have, people pushing the envelope on health, right? Like in the right direction. And really, that's really the thing. Is it going in the right direction? And with people like you, Caroline, it absolutely is. And so we're so grateful that you do this. So let me ask you, is there more that you want to share about the importance of having herbs in your diet? Did we cover all of that, or do we want to take a deeper dive?
We can share some more about that. I thought about you asked me how do you know if you're caffeine sensitive? And I thought about something that's so important and that's really become to people's awareness that I didn't mention before. And that is that so many people have a problem with caffeine and they get anxious. They drink caffeine and they get anxious. So during COVID, it was amazing because anxiety, of course, for all of us went up right through the roof. And people were at home and they really connected that if they were brewing and drinking coffee and they were getting more anxious after a cup of coffee, they really got it, because they were just sitting at home. They weren't going to work. They weren't, running around. They weren't doing whatever. They were sitting at home having a cup of coffee and getting anxious, more anxious than they already were. And so people have really connected that to their sensitivity to caffeine, which I think is something really great because I always knew about it. And we've done over the years these samplings, of why don't you drink coffee, and caffeine sensitive is always top and foremost, and then digestion. But the next one really is anxiety, even before sleep, which I would have thought it was sleep. But anxiety ramps up so much because caffeine pushes into our system these various stress hormones. So our stress goes up and so does our anxiety as a result.
Well, that's what I was explaining earlier is that it activates the basal ganglia, the back end of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really, so that what that means is what you're saying is you become more anxious. People can have panic attacks, things like that, which I was having panic attacks. I had probably, just tells you how sensitive I was, half a cup a day. And the other half was filled with a full cup. Half of it was coffee and the other half was cream. And I'm having panic attacks, anxiety. Obviously, that is the precursor to panic attacks. And so, I just, blessed by God, was surrounded by people who knew more than I did in the space that I needed to learn, right? There's tons of people that know more than I do, but they were educated, so well educated in the space of using food as your medicine. And, someone wise, I know Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine, but someone else kind of did a twist on that. They said, if you don't make food your medicine, then medicine, meaning the pills, will be your food. And that was me. Like I had 50 drugs that I was taking every single solitary day because the Western Medical Club thought it was a good idea. I apparently thought so too for a period of time because I didn't know better. So, if you're, one of those people that are looking to have less stress and up your game, because I'm going to tell you something. When you have less stress, you can focus better. You can be more productive. Your productivity levels increase with less caffeine. Okay. How, Caroline, do you recommend that people shift from caffeine to caffeine free?
Yeah. So I've learned the hard way because in the beginning, being the pioneer that I was, told everybody, just get off of it. Why is it so hard? Right. And then I saw people go through all kinds of suffering. Right. And you still see it. I looked at TikTok the other day and I put in, quit coffee. Right. And it's full of these people going, oh, I'm on day 2 or 3 and I can barely move. And, all this suffering. Right. I'm not into suffering. I'm into things have to taste good too, by the way. So that's why Ticino tastes good, as I'm not into suffering just to be healthy. You can be healthy and have fun.
What I can't imagine you on coffee, actually. I was just thinking, like, she has so much energy. You're 72 years old. You have more energy than God and man combined.
That's what a few of my friends say, right?
Yeah.
But so WeFunder, what am I saying? So WeFunder
is how I became an investor in your company.
WeFunder is how you. Thank you very much. WeFunder is if anybody listening to this wants to invest in Ticino, please go to wefunder.com/Ticino. And you'll see.
I just want to pause for a moment. seriously, people, I mean, I became an investor. This is not an MLM. She's, on the are you already on the NASDAQ, or have you gone
No,
public?
no, we're not public. It's a private offering of shares in the company, and we're doing it through a platform called crowdfunding. Or it's the SEC regulates it. It's a legal, mechanism in which individuals can buy shares in a company they love. If you love products like Ticino, then that's what we've raised money from. All of our Ticino customers, not all, but all of the investors are Ticino customers, just
Oh, yeah.
about. And that's on a platform called WeFunder. It's a really great little platform. You can see, if you like entrepreneurs, you can read all kinds of entrepreneurial stories, and Ticino shares are on there, and they're available now.
Yeah,
But
no, I
what
was very excited when I saw that and invested immediately. And so, look, I'm just going to say this. I think that we, as a community, the holistic community, which is who I attract, have an obligation, if we're in the space to do that, to support people who are bringing good, healthy products that nourish our soul. And today's show is about self love, is nourishing your body with nutrients, right?
Yeah,
Because you have to love on yourself first so that you can be present for somebody else. And I think that when you start your day, you want to, everything, it's interesting. Years before I knew about you, I created a product recipe, because I think I mentioned in a text message I channel different recipes, and it was hot cocoa,
mm-hmm.
called Not Your Mama's Hot Cocoa,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nutrient dense. And so, again, bringing in those nutrients for your body to soothe your soul, and your physical body. So Not Your Mama's Hot Cocoa was cacao powder, your choice of milk, whether it be walnut, coconut, or dairy, whatever is good for
Mm-hmm.
your body. And then I would add in dandelion tincture, echinacea, chaga, lion's mane, what was it, cordyceps, and different mushroom powders to support the immune system, brain health, and a safe lifestyle of detox. People had this concept and thought form that detox is a one and done thing, or you do it once a week, and but it's too harsh on the body. You want to have a lifestyle where you're constantly giving your body the herbs that it needs in order to flush out what it doesn't need. Would
Right.
you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. What you were talking about there, a lot of the herbs you mentioned and the mushrooms are adaptogens. And you asked me
Yes.
earlier what herbs, what herbal benefits could we talk about? And definitely the adaptogens, which are those herbs and mushrooms that help your body adapt to stress.
Yes.
And all kinds of stress, stress from the environment, like you were talking about, stress, emotional stress, so from toxins we ingest, and physical stress, exercising, like, super hard.
Absolutely.
So all those kinds of stressors, adaptogens help us. And we came out with, right before the pandemic, actually, we came out with our line of mushroom blends. Let me
Mhm.
get this in camera. So this is a sampler.
I'll make this a different, try this. Does that help? Or
Okay.
move it to the other side, maybe? Uh,
I can see it in my camera. You can't see it
okay,
in
yeah,
yours.
there you go.
Let's
Perfect.
put
Right
it in
there.
front of my face. Then we'll see it. So this is our sampler with 2 tea bags of each of our different 6 blends, and they're paired an adaptogenic herb with an adaptogenic mushroom. Um, and and so people ask, well, shouldn't I take them all in one drink, just like you were saying in your cocoa drink, right? That you were putting them all into one drink. Well,
I mean,
what
you don't have to. It's just like I told people, actually, these are the ones I use. And I'm actually, since I'm a channel, I put in what God tells me to put in on that day and time. But here's
Right.
a list to choose from.
Right. But when you go and you buy that from a company that's putting them in for you, typically they're putting in a very small amount of each one. So you're not getting what you'd call a wellness dose. So I decided, no, I want to give a real significant, impactful dose of each of those two adaptogens, the mushroom and the adaptogenic herb, to people. So that's why I paired in each one. There's just two, right? They're not 10 because 10 means you're going to get fairy dust of each one.
Right.
There's two. So
Right.
when you drink any of my mushroom adaptogen blends, like this one is the chaga ashwagandha, right? So
Well, I was waiting for you to bring that up because the ashwagandha is a great adaptogenic herb, as
yeah,
is chaga. And when I have a list of that I created probably, I don't know, like 6 years ago, of every single mushroom and what they all do. And no surprise, every single mushroom helps you with reducing
yes.
stress.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and every single herb, and you see these advertisements, and they'll say, this one's for longevity, and this mushroom's for thinking and cognition, and this mushroom's for that. The reality is, they all do
Right.
it. They all do it. They're all adaptogenic herbs, and they all help us with all those functions. Some of them are a little bit more known for this or that or the other thing, but they all do it. They all reduce stress, and that helps us think better for sure. Um, so looking for adaptogens and putting them in your diet, again, another way to boost. They all come with tons of antioxidants, and they're unique antioxidants. They're not antioxidants that you're going to find in an orange or in a red pepper or whatever. They're antioxidants that are unique sometimes to those plants completely. Sometimes they share them across. Everybody talks about green tea and how that's so good for you. Carob, which is in also all of my Ticino blends, shares antioxidants in common with, and flavonoids they're called, in common with green tea, that they write about with green tea and how important it is. It's in my carob too, but it's not in your lettuce and in your whatever else you're eating for vegetables. It's not in those, right? So that's why I keep saying, plant diversity in your diet, rewild your body by getting in some more of these wild ingredients. But we haven't told people how to wean yet, and I do want everybody to know that before we end here. So
Okay.
we got onto weef under because I meant to say wean off of coffee slowly, at least over 2 weeks, right? Blend, if you brew coffee, blend it in your drip coffee maker, whatever you use, some Ticino with some coffee, starting out with mostly coffee and then tapering slowly over the 2 week period until it's basically
Exactly.
100% Ticino at the end. You really have to avoid those headaches. They're no fun. Why would we want headaches? But beyond headaches, and by the way, headaches is your brain having more oxygen go back into it, because caffeine restricts our capillaries and restricts the oxygen in our brain. So that's what your headaches are causing from.
So now I didn't know that. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing.
and hello, we want our brains to be well oxygenated.
Thank you. And increase microcirculation as well.
Exactly. So at any rate, you really want that the weaning thing. Now, some people need to do it even longer. Some people will say, 1 month in, I still don't have any energy. That's your adrenal glands, and unfortunately, it sounds like you basically ran them into the ground before you decided to quit. And so you've got to give those adrenal glands time to recover. We have on our website a bunch of herbs and vitamins that can help the adrenals, and there's a great book out. It's written a long time ago called Adrenal Fatigue. I think you can probably find it on Amazon. But there's a lot of people writing about adrenal fatigue these days and the kinds of things you can take to build your adrenals back up. But when you do build them back up, they'll be producing DHEA, and they'll have DHEA in balance with cortisol, because if they're producing too much cortisol, which is what caffeine makes you produce, and that's our stress hormone, then you don't have enough DHEA, and that's our rebuild repair hormone. So I have a book to recommend called Caffeine Blues, also written a long time ago, but it's still on Amazon. And Stephen Chernisky, that wrote that book, writes about all the various things that caffeine does in your body, and really educates you on that weaning process and building up the adrenals as well.
Okay, so caffeine blues, I just looked that up. I'll show everybody on the screen. And then, of course, I have how to get your Ticino. We put the link in there. And what I'll also do is I'll put the link in, I'll post it so people can actually just go.
There's Caffeine Blues. It's a great book.
So,
I also just want to say that one of the things when people come to our website, they go, "Oh my God, she's got 40 flavors. What the hell am I going to drink?" So I recommend our samplers, and I'll put the link in the chat for you, and then you can maybe show them. But we have a whole page of samplers, and you can go on there and you can buy, these boxes like I was showing you, our sampler boxes, right? But
okay.
you
Oh, I
can,
have them. Here we go. So samplers. I'll pull
yeah.
that up to show everybody.
You can
So
get boxes. We also have our for our brewables. I don't have one right in front of me. Oh yeah, here I do. I do. Here's a packet, right? We have packets that are in the brewables. There's this packets. You can see them there in the tea bags, etc. So there's lots of samplers you can buy, and that's a great way to start with Ticino and say, okay, I get it. This one's my favorite, and I love this one too, and that's one's not for me. And try different flavors.
exactly. And so what I did is, and I'm going to put this link in the comments. So if anybody wants to buy the samplers, you have that link as well. So you tend to, like, I don't know if you're always doing it, but when we get our orders, we get samples like the sampler in our purchase. And so because I've tried just about every one of your products and found out, which I love the most, which about, I don't know, 30 of them, I give them away.
Yeah.
I give them away to people so that they can have some joy and have an experience that they might not have already, might not have had before. Um, but I mean, you guys, it's like, here it looks like it's $15 for a mushroom herbal coffee sampler. This is not a lot of money, and it's a great way to have joy and give yourself love and self-care. It's a great Valentine's Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Great Valentine's Day present for yourself or for your loved ones. But I really like to focus on self-love. And the reason I love to focus on self-love is because I think that if we know how to love ourselves first, then we know how to love someone else, right? In a way that can be received.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I say, learn how to take care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is a great way. I think food is a beautiful way to take care of yourself, especially your product is just so nourishing. And really, I can't really tell you and look you straight in the face that there's any food that I feel like I need to really have. Well, there's one, Hue chocolate, and so that's the only caffeine I get. Hue chocolate because it's so grounding and it's made with 3 ingredients. Um, However, your product every single morning is my go-to, and if I don't get it, I'm not happy.
Same thing, by the way, with that mother turning 100. I supply her with free tea bags, right? But if she runs out, it's like, I don't have any. Get over here now. Give me some more tea bags.
Yeah, so I accidentally, I am on a pre-ship or what auto ship,
Uh-huh.
and so somehow I accidentally didn't have enough for that. So I had to order from Amazon. So to get it the next day, because I'm like, that's not happening,
Yeah, no, Amazon does a good job of delivering Ticino as well. No question about it. But if you get on my website, sign up for my Healthy Tips newsletter, and then all sorts of, specials, discounts, things like that, as well as healthy tips. Once a month, I write the newsletter, come out, and and then you'll be able to, get Ticino, buy it on deal, and stay in touch with the brand, and see all my new flavors when they come and things like that.
So yeah, I totally advocate to buy, and that's what I told the people from the GACA community, Georgia Addiction Counseling Association. My husband's nourishing and great tasting. He says tasting coffee. But I told the community of Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina, which is the span of people in this group, that best to buy direct from you, because you want to stay in touch. And plus, I mean, look, I'm very grateful that Amazon is there, but as a small business owner myself, I would prefer not to pay somebody else in addition, and have gratitude that they're there to support people that need to use them from time to time, like that.
Yeah.
They get me my stuff when I need it, but but if you're gonna yeah, this is just silly, but if you're gonna have an addiction, you know be addicted to good stuff, right?
Vanilla nut, by the way, that was the first flavor I ever created of Ticino. You would think I would have started with regular, but I didn't. I started with
This
vanilla
is
nut.
my favorite.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you the story behind it is I was working in the rainforest in Central America after having had one of those wonderful, love the bird, epiphanies that I wanted to devote my time to helping preserve the rainforest. And with Ticino, that's part of our mission, bringing optimal health to people on the planet. And we focus especially on an ingredient that comes from the Central American rainforest called Ramon seeds, which is in that French roast bag that you
Can
showed.
you tell me about that?
Here we are.
Yeah,
But wait, I just want to tell you the vanilla nut one because it's such a sweet story. I was working with vanilla growers in Mexico, and vanilla is indigenous to Mexico. So their ancestors discovered it's the only orchid that produces any kind of a food crop that we can eat. And they discovered how to cure the bean, which has to be cured over 6 months. So it's a really special thing what vanilla goes through to bring all that flavor to whatever it is we're eating it in, right? It's the most popular flavor in the world. And
popular flavor in this house.
I was working with an indigenous group that got a grant to build what they call we'll call it a facility, a beneficio, to cure their vanilla beans. And I wanted to find a good market for them. And then I had this dream about creating Ticino, and the next product I'm going to create is a caffeine-free cappuccino. And the name of the product is Ticino. And I woke up in the dream and I thought, okay, can I get herbs to run through an espresso machine? And then the next thing I thought was, can I make vanilla extract in my kitchen and make a vanilla nut, right? Ticino. And that's what I made. And I actually we were talking about this the other day with some suppliers of ours. I had huge jars of vanilla, beans all ground up and put in 100 proof vodka, which is how you extract things. And I shook it back and forth, right?
Really?
Yeah. You have to extract with alcohol. The only alcohol that was available to me was 100 proof vodka. And I made my first vanilla extracts. And then when you put it, a liquid like that onto a dry product, all the alcohol goes off, flashes off into the air, but you're left with that incredible creamy vanilla. And so vanilla nut was my very first product, making it with the vanilla from the beans that the vanilla growers in Mexico grew with me. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
That was a long time ago. And now I do so much vanilla, I have to buy it from big commercial extractors. But I still have a really great quality of vanilla using some beans from Mexico and some beans from Madagascar. Yeah.
Yeah, we have beans from both. So
yeah.
One of the things that I really love about you is you're a steward of our planet. So I want to say thank you. We align on that. My husband and I started last year growing ginkgo trees. And then we grew about 250 of them. And then we gave them away. And because we're trying to re-inoculate the planet because they're the oldest living species of tree and considered a living fossil, right?
And the streets of New York have ginkgo trees growing in them because they survived so well. They survived the pollution. Amazingly enough, that's how they've survived all these years. And ginkgo is really great for our brains. I've actually thought about doing a Ticino with ginkgo in it. So maybe you'll inspire me to get going on that again.
I would love it. That's my logo. If you look on the screen here, there are 3 ginkgo leaves.
Yeah, I see it.
Well,
I'm going to make it. Jody, you've inspired me. I'm going to make a ginkgo, and the other really one that's great for the brain and cognition is bacopa. And nobody's put those two together that I've seen anyway in a decent
bacopa?
Bacopa, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So now I'm giving away my trade secrets here, and I haven't come out with the product yet, but I'm going to
It's
make one
okay.
this year.
It's okay. No one hears. No one. I got a click on this. No one's going to hear this to take it.
All right. Good ideas are meant to be spread around. Somebody does it first. I'm happy for them.
They won't come up with the same formula. So it's always the formula. Like a
Yeah,
lot
well,
of
for me,
people can put
Ticino.
stuff together, but if you don't have the right formula, then that's what.
Well,
Yeah, she's
and
agreeing. She's saying,
it's as you said, Ticino is unique in that way. We call ourselves the herbal tea that tastes like coffee. It's herbal coffee if it's in a coffee bag, and it's herbal tea if it's in a tea bag box, right?
Mhm.
Oh God, I keep putting this the wrong way. Here we go, tea
There
bag
you
box.
go.
But that's just because it's the way people brew it. But it's the same herbs, right? That have this roasted background that I chose when I had that dream. It was like, what was I going to start with? Well, I roasted the herbs in my kitchen and ground them and started making this formula that has delighted people for 30 years, delighted our taste buds, and brought us health to our cup, right? And then I got these new ingredients in. I got the Ramon seed from the rainforest where I was working in Guatemala, and the wild Maya Biosphere Reserve, where it's still harvested by people picking up the seeds. They fall from a 130-foot tall tree down to the ground, and they're a highly nutritious seed that the Maya used to drink. The Maya drank it roasted, right? The Maya. This is before the
The Mayan
Spanish.
civilization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Maya civilization, before the Spanish brought coffee here, right? Coffee wasn't growing in the Americas. Ramon trees were, and that's what they drank as a roasted beverage. So I revived it and the practice of it, and now there's all these big companies coming in trying to get involved in Ramon seeds. It's a hard product to be involved with because you got to have it collected in the middle of the rainforest. Gives me gray hairs every year. I'm telling you, trying to get enough of Ramon seed for all our products because we love it. It's got a great flavor.
Caroline, I started my journey of health using essential oils. And one of the things that they say is that how essential oils are the gift of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, you are.
Oh no. Essential oils are a great gift to me. I totally believe in them. And whenever I'm hiking, all the aromatics, man, I just smell them and you can feel it go up into your minds. Learn the aromatics wherever you live, right? That grow. And then whenever you go out in nature, take a big whiff of them. They're so wonderful. They're for us. And they are like inhaling medicine, right?
I think they're nature's medicine. I mean, I'm an aromatherapist, and I studied under one of the founding fathers of natural health, um, to learn about essential oils and functional food. And um, but when I think about, like, I know that we always say, oh, the gift of the earth is all these plants or all this stuff, but really the gift of the earth is when we have stewards like you. That's the gift of the earth. And I really mean that. And so I want you to hear that and receive that, because what you're doing is so remarkable, and you've paved a path. I mean, how many years ago you said?
Well, Ticino started 30 years ago. 30 years ago in January. Yeah, that's when I first started making that vanilla nut that I was just talking about.
Yeah. And so, and Chris is saying our skin has olfactory sensors. Yeah. Our nose has, I think, 400 million. Uh, but the,
And our taste buds, by the way, the
mhm.
taste for bitter is something that usually most people avoid, but that is what helps your detox turn on. And we have taste buds for bitter throughout our digestive tract, including in our colon. We need the bitter taste in our lives, and it counteracts that sweet, that we're always so attracted to.
Yeah, I
So
recently started adding a lot of cayenne pepper, and which is, I don't know
that's
if
a whole nother thing. That's definitely stimulating to the metabolic rate, to how fast
Mhm.
we metabolize. Yeah.
What bitter herbs do you like in particular?
Well, I like all the ones in Ticino. So dandelion root. That's those are our most bitter of all of my blends because
I
that
did not
dandelion
know
root.
that that was considered the most bitter. So that's just new to me. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's very bitter. There's other bitter herbs that I don't have in Ticino, but dandelion root is my most bitter of all the herbs in Ticino. Jody, I have a hard stop at
I
1
see
o'clock.
this. It's 4 o'clock here, and
So
so um,
you are a gift trying to, reach an audience and tell people about how they can be healthier and enjoy their lives more. And I just really salute you for that. My last thought to give you was that when we asked our customers, what is it that you thought about when you were going for the next hot beverage, that you were going to drink? And they all went comfort. They wanted comfort,
yeah.
a warm cup. And that's what I love thinking that Ticino brings people. It makes my heart feel so good, right? And I love, Jody, that you drink it every day and that's, what gives you comfort in the morning. I'm
Well, second
very
time
happy.
today.
I love it. I love it. Good in the morning and in the evening. I had my cup at 11:30 last night. I came home from an event and had my Ticino before I went to bed.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool that you can have coffee, if you will, before you go to bed
Yeah.
and actually have it nourish your sleep.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
will be aired on every podcast channel, and we're grateful for you being on the show. I know Chris is super excited that you were here. My husband, we had Teddy. Everybody's super excited, and then we will share with you all the additional links so you can share. And eventually, we'll get little snippets together too, so you can share little snippets as
Oh,
well.
wonderful. That sounds
All right.
great.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Jody. Have a wonderful day.
Bye. You
Bye.
too.